Hey, figure skating fans. If you have been up all night, which means you are on the East Coast, West Coast, Central time zone in the US and Canada and somewhere in North America, well, I applaud you because it has been a lot of skating. And this has been a lot of skating in the second day here. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, you should go back and watch because Skate to Milano, otherwise known as Chinese Nebelhorn, has just concluded its second day of competition. And I am live with you right now to recap everything that has happened over the past couple of days. And there's been a lot of things that have happened over the past couple of days, including the pairs and the women assigning their last Olympic spots to the countries that qualified for them and the athletes that qualified for them. So, lots of stuff to talk about. And I'm going to start actually with the men this morning because that was actually not that long ago, but it felt like a long time ago. As we expected, it was a very, very close call for kind of the last spots, I guess. Peter Gumenik was out in front and is currently out in front going into the free skate, 93.80 with a quad flip triple toe, a quad sow, and a triple axel. So he kind of comes back, first competition in quite a long time on the international circuit, and gets that very comfortable lead. He just really has to show up and not have a enormous disaster, and he's getting himself to the Olympics. Second and third is kind of its category of its own. Donovan Carrillo skating last, and knowing that he has had not a perfect early season so far, delivers probably one of the best skates of his life. Quad sow, triple toe, and triple axel, and a triple Lutz, and gets us an 84.97, a big personal best, and gets into second over Francois Pitot, who is in third. Another great skate, 81.24. So the two of them sort of in that second and third spot, kind of by themselves. And then this is going to be, this is going to be it's going to be a lot over the next 24 hours as we prepare for the men's free skate, because 4th through 17th is separated by 11 points. That's basically a triple axel, triple toe, actually a little less than a triple axel, triple toe. So that's, given we know what the men can do and also cannot do sometimes with their programs, given that, the free skate is going to be a nail biter for these last two spots, provided that Gumenik, Carrillo, and Pitot end up where they are currently. It's not a foregone conclusion, right? The men have menned before, and things can happen a lot. But Carrillo and Pitot have something like a double-digit-ish lead over the rest of the field. Carrillo has that 10-point lead over fourth, and then Pitot has a 7-ish point lead over the fourth place. So it's not quite smooth sailing yet, but they have a buffer. Hyung-Young Kim, 74.69. David Lutenbrain, 73.56. Kirilo Marsak, 72.33. Those six are going to be your final group. But the action is going to start from very early on, because 17th place is 63.59. And again, as I said, 11 points behind fourth, and 10 points behind fifth. I mean, the top five get to the Olympics and or get their country to the Olympics, with the exception of Peter Gumenik, who would get himself to the Olympics. And so there's a lot. There's a lot that's going to happen, and it's going to be a very interesting free skate tomorrow. Just watch out. And this morning, unfortunately slept through the first two groups of skaters, and I will not do that tomorrow because it's going to be a very interesting competition. Okay, so that's the men's short program. I'm going to go back even more before we go into the pairs and the women, because I know you're all buzzing about that. But the short the short programs, the rhythm dance for the ice dance teams happened yesterday as well. That was the first thing that happened yesterday, and it will be the first thing that will happen tomorrow. Reed and Amberlicious ends up on top, not surprisingly, 80.95. Holly Harris and Jason Chan, again, not a surprise, in second, 73.35. Those two have always been the ones who we thought are more or less going to be a lock for two of those four spots. And then another case of very close, right? So the next four, so the ice dance teams will have four spots available for them here. A potential fifth spot, the first alternate spot, could get one, depending on what Finland does with their second spot. And so what we're looking at here is third through sixth are separated by less than 2 points. So lots can happen in the free dance. And then third through eighth are separated by less than 5 points. That's a few levels. That's a few GOEs. Like, it is not a foregone conclusion that any of these skaters are going to be making it to the Olympics, with the exception of the first of Reed, Amberlicious, and Harrison Chan, who have a very comfortable cushion from the rhythm dance. So that's what's happening there. Lots to come for the rhythm dance, and that will start at 10 a.m. Beijing time, so 10 p.m. tonight on the East Coast, 7 p.m. tonight on the West Coast in the U.S. So lots that will happen, and be on the edge of your seat for all of that. All right, so let me get back to kind of the main event for the day. The pairs and the women had their free skates, had their final results, and therefore the final spots have been determined. So in pairs, Zhang and Huang won it with a 191.52 over Armenia's Akapova and Rachmanin, 186.84. They were a Russian pair that just moved over to Armenia and started representing them this season. So this is a new pair of sorts, but not a new pair in pairing. And then Japan gets a second spot with Nagaoka Moriguchi making it into that top three with a 178.66. The three of them, in a lot of ways, at least in my mind, were the three favorites for the three spots. And so a little bit not a surprise there. Maybe a little bit of a surprise as to the actual standings. We all sort of thought Nagaoka and Moriguchi, given how they did earlier this season at Kenoshita, that they would end up at least second, if not first. But too many mistakes here. But their quality of skating and also the things that they actually did in the programs got them through. In fourth and that first alternate spot, Kovalev, something of a surprise because we haven't seen them skate internationally this season yet. We saw them at French Masters, but also they have been on a comeback trail for over a season now, since a couple big injuries. And so they're back fourth place with a 171.58. So they get that first alternate spot. Oh gosh, my voice is too raspy from staying up all night. So that gives France the first alternate spot, and the point of interest here is that the Uzbekistan team has not, Ganesh and Shagirov have not appeared in international competition or any competition this season, and there have been sort of rampant rumors that they have split up. There's nothing confirmed, nothing official. They have withdrawn from both of their Grand Prix assignments. So we will see what happens with that. Uzbekistan does not have a second pair team, at least not not right now. So if that happens, then Kovalev will get that last spot as the first alternates. Either way, France will get that last spot. Whether or not it's Kovalev, that's up to the French Federation. Either way, France has has eligibility to get into the team event at the Olympics, and if there are still enough team event spots for them for that pair, even if they are not able to qualify an individual pair to the Olympics, a pair will go if they, one, actually qualify to the team event, and two, there are enough extra spots, and I'm not going to get into that, but there are like extra spots that the Olympics can provide to teams of three at the team event if one of those disciplines was not qualified in the individual events. So I think they can feel like they can still be training for the Olympics, even though they don't have that individual spot quite yet. And then second alternate, Holichenko Daryansky, and third alternate will be, Ukraine, Holichenko Daryansky was fifth. And then the third alternate will be the U.S. third spot. Shin and Naj got sixth here. So that was the pairs. It was a good competition, especially amongst the top three. Not a completely clean competition, but I think there was some high quality skating there in that, especially in that top three in the final. All right, we're still buzzing over the women. The women that event was a very exciting event. A lot because there were some great skates, especially amongst the top three, top four really, and then there was a very close battle for that last spot between Ruyang Zhang and Stefania Yakovleva, and it ended up being a difference of 2.21 points between fifth and sixth place, with Zhang getting that final Olympic spot for China, and Cyprus getting the first alternate spot with Yakovleva in sixth. Norway with the second alternate spot, Risa Gomez with 161.69 in seventh, and then Kristina Lisovskaya of Estonia gets Estonia a second spot alternate. So let me go back on that one. Lisovskaya's eighth place finish gives Estonia the third alternate spot for their second spot. So Nina Petrikina has already earned one spot for Estonia because she was in the top 10 at Worlds. There was an opportunity for Estonia to earn a second spot. So if three people end up withdrawing from the Olympics, or three spots get vacated for the Olympics for the women, then Estonia will get a second spot. That's going to be fairly unlikely. I don't know about highly unlikely, but it's going to be unlikely, given what we've seen in the history books. So that is what happened there. Let's talk about the top four, because all four of those skaters skated near clean, if not clean, programs. Petrosian was the one who had the cleanest of the programs, and getting that 209.63, one of the best scores of the season so far. Gubanova had a very strong program, close to clean, but a few rotation calls. I think 3 jumps on the quarter, And then Luna Hendricks with a phenomenal comeback from injury and surgery. She ends up landing 5 clean triples and then doubled a flip. And so, had she not doubled the flip, potential for her to have actually won this thing. But it ended up being about 5 points between first and third. And then Safonova pulls up from seventh to fourth with a clean skate of her own. And, it was very quality. Just very strong skating from those top 4. And, I think if you look ahead to the rest of the season, right? Petrosian and Safonova, I believe, won't be at anything international until the Olympic Games, and so they will have to basically sit out, and everybody's going to have to sort of, I don't know, realize that there are these 2 other skaters that are coming to the Olympics, but they're not competing during the rest of the entirety of the international events because Russia and Belarus are still not able to compete, still banned from competition in regular ISU events. This was an This was an exception because this was the Olympic qualifying, and the Olympics will have those neutral athletes, but that does not exist currently in the ISU. So Gubanova and Hendricks, we will see how these 2 go during the season. They were separated by less than 2 points here, and you know that the Europeans is going to be a battle between the 2 of them and more. So lots to say there. Last thing that I want to talk about is Ruyang Zhang, who ended up with the 5th place and the last spot qualified for China. And because China qualified a pair earlier today and now qualified a women's spot today, both of those added to the men's spot that they already have means that they are now eligible for the team event. Before the competition started, there were only 9 countries that qualified in at least 3 disciplines from the World Championships. So those 9 are eligible for the team event. A country has to have at least 3 disciplines qualified individually, right, to be able to send a team. And so China now becomes the 10th country with the eligibility requirements. It does not mean that they are in yet, because 1, we're not done with this competition, and 2, all of that ends up having to run its course, because amongst the teams that are eligible, especially if there are more than 10 teams, right? You will the scores and standings of this season and last season in a variety of events are going to then count for this. The placements for those events are going to then count for the actual point standings of those countries, which will then determine who makes it to the team event. So, as always, lots of mathematical complications that I am not going to go into at this point. But that is your recap. Thank you for joining the RockerPod recap live show. We will, of course, have our regular live podcast show tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. I will likely come back tomorrow after the men's free skate is done and do a recap of what happened in the free dance and in the men's free skate. Lots to come. Be on the edge of your seats, because it's going to be an exciting third and final day of Chinese Nebelhorn / Skate to Milano.